a beautiful woman, just to get my attention. Actually smashed my Rolls-Royce in public. By the time I arrived, she wasn't the least bit flustered. She even batted her eyes at me flirtatiously and said, "I know I can't afford to pay for the damage, but I'm willing to repay you with myself." However, just when she thought I'd be seduced by her looks and accept her offer, I glanced at her with disdain and said, "This car's damage is worth over $1 million. Do you really think your scrawny little body can cover that cost?" Chapter 1. I was sitting at the top floor of a luxury restaurant, enjoying dinner while gazing at the city night view, but before I was even halfway through my meal, the manager and floor supervisor rushed toward me in panic. They came up to my table, bowed deeply, and then the manager spoke. "Why, young Master Wong, the car you parked in the ground floor garage, it was smashed. We've got the person under control. Would you like to go down and take a look?" To be honest, I was startled when I heard that. Today, I was driving my Rolls-Royce. On the road, no one even dares to get too close, afraid of scratching it and having to pay for damages. I never imagined someone would be so bold as to actually smash my car. I put down my utensils and followed the manager to the first floor by elevator. There was already a crowd gathered around my car. The manager and floor supervisor helped me push through the crowd, and then I saw a pretty girl in a white dress standing by my car. It was Willow. She actually showed up. I looked at her blankly and asked, "Did you smash my car?" Willow brushed her hair aside and gave a soft, beautiful smile. She nodded and said, "Yes." The manager was almost about to faint from anger. He shouted, "What kind of lunatic are you? Do you even know how much this car costs? You smashed it, can you afford to pay for it?" "Young Master Wong, this really isn't the restaurant's fault." The security did try to stop her. Willow didn't even glance at the manager. She just stiffened her neck, eyes slightly red, and stared at me. "I know it's expensive. I really can't afford it, but I can use myself to repay the cost of repairs." It looked like life had been tough for Willow after her rebirth. Saying something this shameless, and doing it in front of everyone, the crowd burst into teasing laughter. And Willow blushed. I couldn't help but laugh. I said, "The damage is over $1 million. You think your skinny little body is enough to cover that?" Willow looked at me in disbelief. She said, "George, look at my face. Don't you have anything else you want to say? Don't you feel something?" I gave her a puzzled look and said, "I don't even know you. You're just someone who owes me $1 million. What do you expect me to say? What am I supposed to feel?" Chapter 2. Willow's face turned as pale as a sheet of paper. Honestly, I couldn't really blame her. After all, in her eyes, I had always been nothing more than her ultimate simp. In our previous life, I met her while on a trip. She was drowning, and I happened to save her. Back then, she was also wearing a white dress, looking as pure and delicate as a white lotus blossom. I fell in love at first sight. I chased her for 5 years before finally winning her over. But just 2 months after we got married, I was driving on the highway when my car suddenly malfunctioned. The brakes failed. Thinking I was about to die, I quickly picked up my phone and called Willow. With a bitter smile, I said, "Babe, don't panic, and don't be too sad. My brakes just failed. I'm on the highway right now. I might not be able to keep my vow to love you for the rest of my life." But Willow laughed. She said, "George, should I call you naive or just plain stupid? How could a perfectly good car suddenly lose its brakes? That was my wedding gift to you. A bit late, I admit, but better late than never." I was stunned. For a second, I thought I must have heard her wrong, but Willow wasn't done. She gave a small laugh and continued, "To be honest, I originally planned for you to die a few days later, but I'm already pregnant, and I can't have my child recognizing a simp like you as its father instead of his real dad, can I? But don't worry, my lover, our baby, and I will all be deeply grateful to you, because you never asked for a prenup. Once your body is shattered beyond recognition, your entire fortune will go to us. We'll live a wonderful life. So rest in peace, George." "Oh, right, you actually know who the real father is. It's Makoto. As his dear uncle, it's only right you gave your life for your nephew." And just like that, with my beloved wife's mockery still ringing in my ears, I drove off a cliff, exactly as she planned, and died with not even a corpse left behind. Chapter 3. I was still lost in those memories, when Willow suddenly walked up to me and grabbed my hand tightly. She said, "George, look closely, it's me. I'm Willow. I'm your future wife." The manager couldn't hold it in and snapped, "Is she mentally ill?" Willow shot him a glare and said, "Shut up. Once George and I are reunited, you'll be kneeling on the floor begging me for forgiveness." The manager was speechless. Willow locked eyes with me and said seriously, "I know I can't afford to pay for the damage right now, but just look at me. You will fall in love with me. We're meant to be. We're soulmates." I don't know why you didn't show up the day we were destined to meet. But that's why I came looking for you. To be honest, I hadn't noticed until now. This time, I never saved her from drowning. Yet she was totally fine. So our so-called fateful encounter must have been a setup all along. I really was too foolish not to realize it. I threw her hand off me, coldly saying, "Save your delusional nonsense for the police. I don't need your body to pay off a debt. First of all, you're not worth that much. Second, I'll never fall in love with you. All I want is compensation for the damages." The onlookers around us couldn't hold back anymore. They began whispering among themselves. "Wait, it works like that. Then I'm gonna go find Daddy Elon. I happen to know his license plate number." Nah, better go with Bill Gates. He's already divorced. No home wrecking involved. I get it now. If you like someone, just smash their luxury car first. No way, this girl's got serious issues. Why does this feel like something out of a romance novel with a dumb but beautiful heroine? Haha, I thought it was going to be the overbearing CEO falls in love with me. But turns out it's the overbearing CEO sends me to jail. Chapter 4. Willow's face turned red, then white. As she listened to the murmurs around her, she mumbled under her breath, "No way. You were supposed to fall in love with me at first sight. This was supposed to be the beautiful beginning of our story. How could it turn out like this?" She tried hard to keep her emotions in check. Doing her best to appear calm, she said, "If you call the police now, you'll just have to work even harder to win me over later. You'll regret this. Don't call the police. I can go home with you and be your maid. I'll use my salary to pay for the car repairs." "Okay." Naturally, I wasn't moved in the slightest. I picked up my phone to call the police. But just then, a hand reached out from the side and covered my screen. "Bro, don't be like this. It's just a car. You're not short on money. Look at this beauty crying her heart out like a damsel in distress. How could you not show her some mercy?" I turned to see it was Makoto. I felt a rush of satisfaction, though I didn't show it on my face. Today's plan was going perfectly. Makoto may appear to have nothing to do with me, but we both knew the truth. He was my father's illegitimate son. When my dad died, I ignored all opposition and had him cremated overnight. By the time Makoto came to claim his share of the inheritance, all he found was a box of ashes. He couldn't prove he was the illegitimate child at all. He could only stand by and watch as all of my father's assets went to me. If it weren't for the generous benefits my father had given him before death, he wouldn't be living so freely now. From that phone call during the highway accident in my previous life, I could confirm one thing: my death back then had been a conspiracy between the two of them. Sure enough, when Makoto reached out to help Willow up, a deep affection flickered in both of their eyes. Willow had never looked at me with eyes like that. Chapter 5. Makoto, feigning chivalry, held Willow's hand and turned to me, saying, "Come on, bro, just let it go. All right, I'm sure this lady didn't do it on purpose. No need to scare her like this. If word gets out, people will say the Wong family is petty even when we're in the right. That won't help your reputation either." Willow looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. That expression had been her ultimate weapon in our past life. Whenever she looked at me like that, I'd risk life and limb without hesitation. But now, I just smiled and said, "Sure, since you want to stand up for this young lady, how about you pay for the damages to my car?" Makoto's face turned a bit awkward. "Bro, I never said I'd pay for her. I was just suggesting you show a little mercy. Wasn't that one of Dad's favorite sayings?" I laughed. "First of all, my dad is my dad. Don't go claiming him. Second, I'm an only child. I have no brother. Third, if I let her off today after she smashed my car, who's to say someone won't barge into my villa tomorrow or stir up trouble at my company the day after? Am I supposed to just keep tolerating everything?" Makoto scoffed. "You've got so much money, what's the harm in letting it go?" I didn't argue. Instead, I smiled and said, "Sure, I'm rich, not stupid. Besides, you're rich too, aren't you? Since you're so eager to defend her like some white knight, why don't you pay for her?" Makoto rubbed his nose and muttered, "Why yeah, you're right. I shouldn't have meddled." He awkwardly stepped aside and said nothing more. As for Willow, her face looked like she'd just swallowed something foul. She looked left and right, clearly noticing that the crowd was growing, and many were filming the scene live with their phones. Lowering her voice, she pleaded, "George, please, we're destined to be together. I can prove it. Just give me a chance." I nodded and said, "All right, then go ahead, prove it." Willow seemed a bit embarrassed. "Let's talk inside." "Okay, it's a secret. I can't let anyone else know." Chapter 6. I could pretty much guess what she was going to say, so I didn't refuse. Instead, I deliberately stopped Makoto, who was about to leave, and said, "Come on, stay and listen. Don't you love drama the most?" Makoto wanted to go, but when he looked at Willow, he couldn't bear to leave. He gave a sheepish laugh and followed me into the private room in the restaurant. As soon as we entered, Willow couldn't wait to speak. "George, I know you were just embarrassed to admit it earlier in front of the crowd, that you fell in love with me at first sight, but now there's no one else around. You don't need to suppress your feelings anymore. Look closely at me. I'm wearing your favorite outfit today and used the perfume you like." Willow leaned in beside me and said, "You once said, no matter the situation, the moment you saw me, you'd fall in love. I know showing up like this startled you, but I had no other choice. This was the only way we could meet again and rekindle our bond." Of course I knew, after being reborn, I had deliberately avoided the riverbank and stayed low profile. Willow had tried countless times to approach me, but naturally, the security at my villa wouldn't let her in. If it weren't for some kind soul who told her I'd be dining here today and even gave her my license plate number, she might never have gotten close to me in this lifetime. But I didn't say anything. I simply smiled, sat down in a chair, and said, "Miss Stranger, just now you said you had a secret to prove something. Was your proof really just staring at me and waiting for me to fall in love with you on the spot?" As I spoke, the manager had already arrived with the police. I pointed at Willow and said, "Officers, this woman smashed my car. The damages exceed $1 million. Now she's playing dumb. Please take her in for investigation." The officers didn't say much. After all, the surveillance footage was clear. Without hesitation, they each grabbed one of Willow's arms and lifted her off the chair. "Ma'am, please come with us." Willow immediately shouted, "No, I'm Mrs. Wang. No, I'm the future Mrs. Wang. Let go of me." "George, look at me. You will love me. Don't suppress your feelings. You love me, right? Just admit you love me." She was crying uncontrollably, sobbing with snot and tears, completely stripped of the elegant goddess image she once had. But the police weren't moved. They simply took her away. Chapter 7. Finally, Willow couldn't take it anymore. Out of nowhere, she mustered up some strange strength and locked the two officers outside the room. Crying, she said to me, "Actually, I'm a time traveler. I came back from 6 years in the future. I know everything about you, and I know what will happen in the next 6 years. As long as you marry me, I can help your business soar to new heights." Seeing that I didn't interrupt her and even looked mildly interested, Willow seemed relieved. She continued, "George, 6 years from now, we're already together, married, with children. But then you had a tragic car accident. I came back to save you. The reason I smashed your car was, first, to get your attention, and second, because that car is the very one you were driving when you had the accident. That car killed you, so I burst out laughing. What a shameless way to twist the truth. I said with a smirk, "I can't believe I wasted so much time talking to a lunatic. Let me make this perfectly clear. I could never love you. I don't care if you're pretending to be crazy or actually are, but the damage you caused must be paid for. If not, then get ready to go to jail." Willow looked at me in disbelief. But to avoid prison, she had no choice. In the end, she revealed a string of secrets, things only I knew. Makoto, who was listening nearby, looked more and more delighted as she spoke, but I remained unmoved. Instead, I smiled and said, "You really went all out to cling to me. You must have spent so much effort digging up information. How else could you know all these hidden things?" Willow shook her head. After thinking for a moment, she said, "I know. You've been hesitating over something recently, whether to invest in Morningsun Corporation or Sunflower Corporation. No one else knows this, but I do. The right choice is." Chapter 8. Makoto's eyes darted as he quickly interrupted Willow's words. "Hey beautiful, forget it if he doesn't believe you," he said. "It's just $1 million. We're talking about a car here. I'll cover it for you. I just can't stand some people throwing their weight around." Without any hesitation, Makoto transferred the $1 million to me. Then, with exaggerated care, he helped Willow up and attempted to leave the private room with her. Seeing that I had received compensation, the police simply gave Willow a few words of advice, telling her not to act impulsively again, and left. Willow still seemed hesitant, but realizing I truly had no interest in her, she had no choice but to follow Makoto. Even as she left, she didn't forget to mock me. "George, you'll regret this. I was supposed to be your golden cheat code. One day, when you're down and begging on your knees, I won't even bother turning back." Watching the two of them walk away, I finally let out a breath. Perfect. My plan had succeeded. Makoto, Willow, you'll learn what it really means to hoist a rock only to smash your own foot, a classic case of self-sabotage. After being reborn, I'd fantasized countless times about killing them, but murder is illegal, and a second chance at life is far too precious to waste on revenge through violence. So I dug deep. I found out Makoto liked dining at this restaurant on weekends. Then, through a private investigator, I tracked all of Willow's movements. When I saw her posting online asking for advice on how to win back your husband from a past life, I personally reached out, suggesting the idea of crashing my car. Because in my previous life, I'd treated Willow far too well. She barely hesitated. She thought it was the perfect plan. If I didn't fall for her on sight, she could still use the excuse of repaying debt to get close to her. It was a win-win. No risk, all reward. Chapter 9. Soon enough, Sparks flew between Makoto and Willow. Following Willow's advice, Makoto invested in Sunflower Corp. To his credit, he didn't go all in, but even his modest investment brought him substantial returns. Industry insiders praised his sharp eye for opportunity. Makoto practically worshipped Willow like a goddess of fortune. Meanwhile, I, just like in the last life, invested in Morningsun Corp. And lost everything. At an investment banquet, Willow appeared on Makoto's arm. Their expressions were identical, smug and condescending. Willow sneered at me and said, "I heard you lost big time. It's not like I didn't give you a chance. You were the one who blew it." Makoto gave a faint smile and added, "Some people are just born pathetic. You try to explain things to them, but they'll never understand fate. So what if he schemed and stopped me from claiming my father's name back then? I'll restart the family legacy, with my name at the top of the genealogy. I'll make more money than our dad ever did, and when that day comes, you'll be the one begging me to be your little brother." I didn't bother responding. Dark-faced, I turned to leave, but Willow grabbed my wrist. "Why are you walking away with that sour look? Don't tell me you regret it now," she mocked. "I'll never forget how you humiliated me that day, just over $1 lousy million. You treated me like trash. I swear I'll hate you for the rest of my life. I'll be waiting for the day you go bankrupt and fall from grace." I simply smiled and said, "You're this smug over earning a measly $10 million. Come talk to me when you've made tens of millions, hundreds of millions. That's when you'll maybe have the right to stand in front of me and ask whether I regret it." Chapter 10. Willow's expression shifted. She knew very well that my wealth wasn't something a few failed investments could shake. That was exactly why, in the previous life, even though she didn't love me, she still chose to marry me. Even in this life, after being reborn, she didn't go looking for Makoto right away. She came for me again, because she wanted a shortcut to success. When you stand on a giant's shoulders, you naturally tower above everyone else. But my reaction clearly wasn't what she had hoped for. Although she couldn't make me regret anything, she still couldn't stand losing face. She said coldly, "Actually, I might as well tell you the truth. I really did time travel and come back from the future. But I lied to you. I never loved you. I did marry you, but I didn't have an ounce of feeling for you. And yes, I cheated on you. In our past life, you were like a dog, following me around barking all day. I found you unbelievably annoying. But since you took the inheritance that was rightfully Makoto's, I put up with it all. Fortunately, the heavens are fair. They gave me another chance to come back and help Makoto reclaim what he deserved." Makoto chuckled and said, "Babe, why waste your breath on him? A frog in a well like him could never understand divine will. One day, he'll regret it. He'll be on his knees in front of us, begging for help out of so-called family ties. Wouldn't it be more satisfying to say all this then?" Willow nodded. "You're right, babe. Whatever happens to him later, it's karma. I've already written down all the real estate projects and developments that are guaranteed to make money in the coming years. It's all yours." Makoto was visibly moved. At this point, he seemed to fully believe every word Willow said. The two of them kissed passionately in front of me like no one else was there. Makoto even threw me a few provocative glances, intentionally trying to taunt me. Chapter 11. The banquet ended on a sour note. Following Willow's suggestion, Makoto invested in a real estate project. Thanks to my subtle manipulation, he didn't just reinvest his last round of profits, he went all in. He mortgaged everything he had, his property, all his liquid assets, even borrowed heavily from banks. In short, it was an all-out gamble. And just as Willow had predicted, the property prices soared. When rumors spread that a subway line would be built nearby, demand exploded. The project became so hot, it was nearly impossible to even buy a unit. Naturally, the two of them couldn't resist showing up at my place to brag. I had nothing going on, so I let them in. Makoto made himself right at home, sat down, and said, "I heard your investment tanked. No one's interested in that project of yours. There's not even a bus stop nearby. Looks like another massive loss." "Huh?" Willow sneered. "Sweetie, why waste your time on him? He brought this on himself. You're too kind. You shouldn't even talk to him about this. What if he tries to ride your coattails and copy your investment? We don't need some rat sneaking in and stealing the fruits of our labor." Makoto ignored her and looked around my house. "I've always liked this place," he said. "How about you give it to me? Kneel down and bow to me, and I'll generously let you buy into our project as a partner. Sound good?" Willow had a different take. "Sweetheart, what's the rush? With how he's investing, he'll crash and burn in no time. If you really like this house, just wait until he goes bankrupt, then we can buy it for cheap." I chuckled and pulled out a stack of documents. "Sorry to disappoint," I said, "but I just got notice. Turns out they're building a school right next to my project. And not just any school, it's a top-tier one. So if you're waiting for me to go bankrupt, you'll be waiting a very long time." Chapter 12. Before the two of them could react, Makoto's phone rang. His face fell as he answered, then shouted in disbelief, "What? The subway construction's cancelled. Why? How? Weren't all the permits approved? This project involved Makoto's entire fortune. His face darkened instantly, and without a second thought, he hung up the call and gave Willow a brutal slap. "You bitch, you set me up," he roared. That slap, incredibly satisfying to witness. Willow looked stunned, as if she didn't understand what had just happened. She tried to act cutesy again, but at this point, there was no way Makoto was going to fall for her soft act. He looked like he wanted to strangle her on the spot. Gritting his teeth, he said, "It blew up. The subway project's off. The investors all pulled out. We're finished." Willow let out a relieved breath, holding her swollen cheek, and said irritably, "Oh, please, it's not that big of a deal. I knew about this already. It's just temporary." Makoto asked warily. "Temporary? What do you mean?" Willow glanced nervously at me, clearly not wanting me to hear. But under Makoto's pressure, she was forced to explain. "This happened in the last life too, but don't worry, within 6 months, some new investors will build office towers and a commercial plaza nearby. Once that's up, the previous investors will return. Prices will surge again. It'll become the most sought-after development in the whole city." Makoto didn't respond. Willow, however, scoffed and looked at me with disdain. "I'm warning you, George, if you have even a shred of dignity left, don't you dare try to buy into our development. If you do, I'll look down on you. Not just me, everyone who knows about you and Makoto will despise you." Makoto, finally calming down, lost his temper again and snapped at her. "Couldn't you say that privately? What if he steals our investment? Or worse, tags along and we end up building profits for him?" Chapter 13. I chuckled and reassured them. "Relax, I won't touch your development. I have my own projects to manage. Yours, it's too small scale for me to even consider." They were still suspicious, but seeing how serious I looked, they left my house half believing, half doubting. But things didn't unfold the way Willow predicted. The supposed new investors never showed up. There was no commercial plaza, no CBD. The project ran into funding issues and gradually halted construction. By the 6-month mark, the development was officially abandoned. Makoto lost everything, not just his capital, but now drowning in debt. Meanwhile, thanks to the newly announced school nearby, my development soared in value and became the most sought-after property in the city. The two of them, now being hounded by debt collectors and with nowhere to go, showed up begging at my door. In the previous life, this exact real estate project had collapsed 6 months earlier as well. Back then, Makoto had invested a smaller amount, but still took a major hit. By then, Willow was already entangled with Makoto, and she was heartbroken over his loss. Every day she sighed in front of me, saying things like, "George, those poor people who bought into that project. It's so heartbreaking. If only someone could help them." And me, I was the ultimate simp. I couldn't stand seeing my goddess like that. So to make her happy, I spent my own money to build a plaza near that development and even bought land nearby to construct an office building. Because of my efforts, the entire project came back to life, but I had done all of it quietly. Willow never found out. After being reborn, I intentionally reinvested in Morningsun and lured Makoto into investing in Sunflower, just so he'd fully trust Willow, spend a little money, make them suffer a big loss. In my opinion, it was worth every penny. Chapter 14. With their investment completely wiped out, and debt collectors swarming around them, Makoto and Willow had nowhere left to turn. Late at night, they sneaked their way to the front of my villa, skulking in the shadows. Even though I already knew it was them lurking outside, I still called the butler and the gardeners, and ordered them to give the pair a proper beating. They didn't hold back, not until Makoto was kneeling at my feet, sobbing and crawling like a dog. "Did I tell them to stop? Bro, it's me," he cried. "I'm not a thief. I'm your real brother." Makoto and Willow had been beaten black and blue, just like they'd said they never would. They were now kneeling before me, begging, "Bro, I know we're not full brothers, but we share the same blood. If Dad were watching from the heavens, he wouldn't want us fighting like this. Please help me. If you don't, the debt collectors will beat me to death. I'm only in debt for a few dozen million. It's nothing to you. You can afford it. Please, help me." I kicked his hand away in disgust. "Half a year ago, that's not what you said when you came to my house," I sneered. "Back then, didn't you say you'd take everything from me? Didn't you say I'd regret it? Already forgotten, have you? Because I haven't forgotten how you mocked me at that banquet." Makoto suddenly shoved Willow toward me like a sack of trash. "Bro, it's her, that bitch. Back when I was thinking of asking you for help with the Sunflower investment, she's the one who stopped me. She egged me on, stirred up drama between us. If you want to blame someone, blame her, not me." Willow didn't know how things had gone so wrong, how a project that should have succeeded ended like this. But she understood that Makoto was throwing her under the bus, so she fired back immediately. "You're full of shit. You told me yourself how much you hated George, how you'd kill him if you ever had the chance. That's why I helped you. and now you want to pretend none of that happened. Chapter 15. Makoto was stunned speechless by Willow's retort. Willow quickly smoothed her hair and tried to flash me a sweet smile. George, she said softly, everything I did it for you. I knew this development would collapse. I did it on purpose. My real goal was to make Makoto pay the price. He was always talking about how your money should have been his, how much he resented you. But I love you so much, how could I let you suffer? So I endured everything, all for this moment, to make sure he lost it all. Now I've done it. Now you can finally love me. I didn't say anything, but deep down, I had to admit, Willow's ability to twist the truth was truly unmatched. Makoto looked like he was about to pass out from rage. He didn't even stop to think whether Willow's words were true or not. He kicked her to the ground, straddled her body, and started punching wildly. George, I fell right into your trap this time. If you don't give me the money, I swear I'll beat her to death. She did all of this for you. You can't possibly just stand there and watch. What was there for me to feel bad about? I calmly watched as Makoto rained down blows on Willow. At first, she tried to blink at me pitifully, fluttering her lashes, still hoping I'd magically fall in love with her. But as the punches kept coming, and her body crumpled like a rag doll, her cries faded. She was beaten so badly, she barely had the strength to scream. If the noise hadn't drawn the attention of a patrolling security guard who called the police, Makoto might really have beaten her to death. When the officers arrived, I actually felt a twinge of disappointment. Still, I thought to myself, maybe it's for the best. If Willow died in my villa, wouldn't that just stain the place? Chapter 16. Makoto was arrested by the police on charges of intentional assault. Willow, on the other hand, was taken away by the ambulance that arrived soon after. Since she had no relatives, and the only person barely connected to her was me, the hospital contacted me first when she regained consciousness. Thinking I might get to see her in a miserable state, I casually got dressed and headed to the hospital. As soon as Willow saw me, tears welled up in her eyes. I knew it, she said. You love me. That's why you came to see me. Why won't you admit your feelings? If you just acknowledged our relationship that day I smashed your car, none of this would have happened. We could have had such a happy life together. I couldn't help but laugh. You ever played a game where they show MVP stats at the end of a battle? I asked. That's what this is. This version of you right now, this broken, miserable version, is the result of all my hard work. Of course I came to see it. Willow didn't understand what I meant. What are you saying? Wait, are you saying you were reborn too? I nodded. Yeah, I thought when I fell off that cliff, my body would be shattered, my soul gone. But when I opened my eyes, I was back on the day you faked drowning. I took a different path right away. But something still felt off, so I had someone investigate you. That's when I saw your posts online. I didn't need to finish. Willow understood. So it was you, she said. You told me to smash the car. You manipulated me into revealing I was reborn. You pushed me to get with Makoto. I nodded again. Not entirely dumb, are you? I paused, then went on to tell her everything I'd done since being reborn, every scheme, every setup, every calculated move. With every word, the color drained further from her face. By the time I was finished, she looked completely lifeless, like her soul had left her body. Chapter 17. After a long silence, Willow suddenly snapped out of her daze. If you're reborn, she said, then that means you must still love me. Now that Makoto's done for, this whole thing is basically thanks to me. I can forgive you for what you've done since your rebirth, and you can forgive me for everything I did in our past life. Let's start over. Okay. I really love you now. You're smart, calm, and you've always treated me so well. I regretted it, ever since you died. I've regretted it so much. Maybe heaven gave us both this second chance so we could be together again. Please, don't go against fate. She looked at me earnestly, then slowly opened her arms, waiting for me to embrace her. I sighed. I genuinely hadn't expected Willow to be this shameless. Willow, I said, you murdered me for your lover. You think I'd ever love you again? You think I'd forgive you? I wish you could feel what it's like to fall off a cliff, your body smashed to pieces, just like I did. But Willow, clearly deranged, mumbled. That's impossible. You loved me so much, there's no way you could just stop. In our past life, if I told you to die for me, you would have done it without hesitation. You're just pretending right now. You're trying to act strong to make me feel regret. Well, I do regret it. My love, I'm sorry. You can forgive me now. I rolled my eyes and said, I won't forgive you. Whether you regret it or not has nothing to do with me. But I will pay your hospital bill, because I'm still waiting for Makoto to get out and come looking for you. I want you two to turn on each other. I want to see you rip each other to shreds. And with that, I didn't even spare her a glance. I smiled and walked out of the hospital room. Chapter 18. Since Makoto and Willow had registered their marriage during the 2 years they were together, the assault Makoto committed against Willow was considered domestic violence within marriage. As a result, He was only held in detention for less than 6 months before being released. On the day he got out, I personally brought the debt collectors to wait for him right at the detention center gate. We stood there shoulder to shoulder, chatting casually. When Makoto walked out and saw us, his expression was worse than crying. After that, I never saw Makoto and Willow again, but I certainly heard a lot about them. Unable to repay their massive debts, they were captured and beaten several times. The debt collectors even sent me photos and videos, convinced that seeing my own flesh and blood suffer might move me to show mercy. When I didn't respond at all, they simply sighed. Men, the rich really have cold family ties, but it was precisely because I was so heartless. Makoto and Willow were ultimately sold abroad, because they were still young and good-looking. Their lives weren't immediately in danger, but based on what I heard, the life they lived was worse than death. They suffered non-stop torment, and within just 3 years, both of them were dead. Rumor had it, they died in agony. When I got the news, I felt nothing but satisfaction. After all, they finally paid for what they did to me in my past life, leaving me to die broken and dismembered. After their deaths, I bought that abandoned real estate project at auction, and followed the original plan from my previous life. I built a shopping mall and a business district. Not only did I make a massive profit, I also gave the families who had once lost their homes in that failed development a place to live, a real home. Looking at the glowing lights in thousands of windows, I believe, one day, there will be a light shining just for me, and my life will be happy from here on out. I had been Willow's simp for 5 years. Her sister had also been my roommate's simp for 5 years. Then, on New Year's Eve, neither of us waited for the person we loved. However, at that exact moment we both received the official announcement of their relationship online. In the end, after thinking it over, Alicia said, "What if we got together instead? We know each other inside out." I nodded. Okay, so, we rushed to try on wedding dresses, book the venue, pick an auspicious date and write the invitations, all with a single goal, to get married before they do. Chapter 1. On New Year's Eve I was in a mall on the main street, watching hydrogen balloons rise while countless couples hugged one another. I was holding a movie ticket, snow swirling around me. I couldn't quite describe what I felt, only that, after loving Willow for so many years, it hadn't come to a good ending. My phone vibrated. I lifted my hand and looked. It was Alicia, Willow's sister. On the chat screen it said, "He didn't come either." Willow, Alicia and I grew up together. Later I fell in love with Willow, and Alicia fell in love with my roommate. I asked her to help me and I helped her. It's a pity that, this New Year's Eve, she wasn't waiting for Makoto and I wasn't waiting for Willow. After letting out a long breath, I was about to leave when I got a call from Alicia. It was noisy on her end, but her voice was clear and tight with emotion. She asked, "Have you seen my sister's post with him?" In that moment a bad feeling washed over me. The hand holding the phone and the other hovering above the screen didn't dare tap. It felt as though the moment I opened the post everything would change. I opened it in the end. Tonight plenty of people were showing off their love with photos, so a quick swipe was enough to see it. When I saw the picture, confusion outweighed grief, because the image they uploaded showed the two of them in their school uniforms. In the photo Willow and Makoto are in the school courtyard, smiling at the camera and flashing the V sign. They look so happy. Yet when Willow and I took pictures together she almost never smiled. Makoto never wanted photos with Alicia, either. Makoto had been my classmate in high school. For a while I lived on campus and often ate with Willow and Alicia in the cafeteria. Makoto came with me and, spending time together, grew close to them. But when did they confess to each other? How is it that Alicia and I look like fools, like moths drawn to a flame? For a long time I couldn't speak. Something was stuck in my throat and I felt terribly low. Alicia's call was still connected, but she wasn't speaking either. At last she asked, "Are you still at the theater?" I answered with a hum. She said, "Then wait for me there, let's watch the movie together." I said, "Okay." Yes, it was awkward, but fortunately she was sharing the embarrassment with me, so it wasn't quite so depressing. While I waited I didn't replay clues about those two. My mind was blank. I felt dazed. It had all happened too fast. I don't know how much time passed. My legs were numb from squatting when I finally saw Alicia appear near the escalator. A few days ago she had dyed her hair a vivid red. She said that everything in the new year would be vibrant, and that red hair meant good things were coming her way. Originally, I'd wanted to dye my hair red too, but she beat me to it. Green didn't feel right, so I simply bleached it yellow blonde instead. When she spotted me, she quickened her pace and walked over. I waved at her and said, "Give me a hand, my legs are a bit numb." Alicia came closer and helped me to my feet. Seeing the resigned look on her face, I laughed. "Not bad, at least we're not sniffling." I thumped my tingling legs with my fists. The mix of ache and relief felt weirdly. That sweet sour sting that actually feels good. She rolled her eyes. So are you, she shot back. I flicked my hand. Come on. It's almost time. By tacit agreement, we didn't bring it up again. After the movie, I walked her home. Once I'd washed up, I finally saw the message Makoto had sent me. George, I'm with Willow now. You okay? I shut my eyes, flopped onto the bed in irritation, and texted back with a blank face, I'm fine. Who he's with is his business, even if that person is Willow. But I'd treated him like a bro, sharing every scrap of progress in my chase after Willow. He'd even offered me enthusiastic advice. After all these years of pursuing her, they're the ones who end up together. Rage almost filled my chest. I wasn't angry that I hadn't won Willow. Chasing her never meant she had to say yes. She's free to choose. What infuriated me was that Makoto never once told me he was after Willow too. While I was pouring my heart out to him, what was he thinking? Was he laughing at how far above my weight I was punching? Suddenly he felt like a stranger, and a hateful one at that, almost as if he'd guessed how I'd respond. He replied, Sorry, George, I'm really relieved you're not mad. I never meant to keep it from you, I just couldn't figure out how to start the conversation. The text was too long. I had no interest in reading it carefully. He finished with, George, how about barbecue at that place on Central Street tomorrow? My treat. He was probing, testing whether I was angry, but we weren't brothers anymore. Let him think what he likes. It doesn't matter. I wrote back, not interested. I'm tired. Going to sleep. After a while he stopped texting, and instead Willow messaged me. The person I've always liked is Makoto. He's kept his distance only out of respect for your friendship. Everything he did was for you, but love can't be yielded. George, please don't take your anger out on your best friend. How to put it? I used to like Willow, like her so much it spilled out of everything I did. It feels as if, almost overnight, something inside me has curdled, my stomach turns. How could their feelings be sudden? They're being together, all at once. Yet they looked at Alicia and me like a pair of clowns, enjoying the way we doted on them. Then turning around to say, Thanks for liking me, but I don't like you. I can accept any outcome. But I can't accept that the woman I've adored for so many years has turned out to be a scumbag. I didn't reply. Instead, I screenshotted both their messages and sent them to Alicia, adding, Did you get these too? A while later Alicia sent me hers. It was Makoto's. Pretty much a thanks for liking me all these years speech. Alicia said, Tell me, 5 whole years and he never once told me he liked my sister. George, we're not that pathetic, are we, knowing they like each other and still liking them? We chased for 5 years, but we'd like them for even longer. I answered, I'm just damn unlucky to have met them. Honestly, I don't ever want to see them again. But chances are I'll run into them tomorrow, and when I do, I'll still have to say, it's fine, it's okay, whatever. It feels fake, but they need to hear it to feel happy, feel justified. Typing that out, frustration surged. I wanted to delete them both and block them. Alicia replied, Same here. Just now my sister even knocked on my door to ask if I was asleep. I kept quiet. I'm exhausted just thinking about it. Sad. Sure, but after liking him so many years, I can accept it. What really hurts is, why does it have to be those two? Why do they get to do this? Suddenly an idea popped into my head. The very next second Alicia called. Since we were kids the two of us have been restless, wild imagined, our crazy schemes always in sync. I said. You go first, she said. No, you. I pursed my lips. You say it. With a little snort she said. Then how about we pair up? We already know each other inside out. I was silent for a beat. She couldn't see it, but I nodded. Deal. We've got to get married before they do, she said. Deal, I answered. Leave it to me. Chapter 2. Early the next morning, Mrs. Lu pounded anxiously on Alicia's bedroom door, each knock louder than a death chime. Alicia yanked the door open, voice full of irritation, cheeks puffed out. Mom, what are you doing? It's the crack of dawn. She hadn't even finished when Mrs. Lu, trembling with excitement, cut her off. Hurry up and wash your face and get downstairs, quick. Your boyfriend is here to make a formal proposal. Alicia let out a stunned huh, and glanced down the staircase, our eyes locked. She was bleary-eyed, hair in a wild tangle, still wearing pure prison chic pajamas emblazoned with the single giant character prisoner. Before I could say a word, she jolted, darted back into her room and slammed the door. When Alicia finally came downstairs, she had washed up, done her makeup, and changed clothes. My mom saw her and waved gently. Alicia, come have some breakfast first. Your uncle and I picked it up from the tea house. Then she turned to Mrs. Lu with an apologetic smile. I'm so sorry we dropped by on such short notice. Hope we didn't frighten you. Mrs. Lu answered. Oh, what are you talking about? We've watched these two kids grow up. If they want to make the families even closer, I couldn't be happier. Mr. Lu chimed in. Exactly, our families know each other inside and out. No need for a mountain of formalities. Alicia muttered. You work fast. Huh? She sat beside me and picked up a shrimp dumpling. I replied. Weren't you the one who said we have to beat them to it? I promised you. So of course I moved right away. She just raised her brows and said nothing. The two sets of parents were off to the side, talking hot and heavy about the wedding plans. Before Alicia and I could get a word in, my mom clapped her hands and declared, I think the 5th day of the new year is perfect, an auspicious day for weddings. Mrs. Liu agreed. Yes, a lucky day. My mom nodded. Great, then it's settled. Alicia and I stared, dumbfounded, trading a glance. Why are they more anxious than we are? She leaned close to my ear and whispered, both sides probably think we might bolt. Come to think of it, she had a point. My mom's always nagging me. Why do young people these days seem less and less willing to get married? Chapter 3. These days Alicia and I were busy trying on wedding gowns, picking venues and drafting invitations. Willow and Makoto had gone traveling in Sea City, posting one blissful update a day. While I waited for Alicia to change dresses, I stared at the sea behind them in the photo and drifted off for a moment. The plan to visit Sea City with Willow had been made long ago. I'd even told Makoto about it. Sea City is a coastal town. Once, Willow and I had come across a blogger's video of it, both of us fascinated, and we'd agreed to go together when we had time. My idea was to take her as soon as the holidays started, but that day Makoto suddenly came down with appendicitis, so I rushed him to hospital and the plan was put on hold. I never expected that the two who finally went would be them. Alicia asked, what are you looking at? She was wearing an all-white wedding dress, a faint smile on her face. I didn't hide anything, just flipped my phone for her to see. She reached for the zipper. When she looked up I said, let me help. After I zipped her up, she finished reading, put my phone back and asked, shall we go? I stared, totally baffled. Go where? She blinked. Will you go there with me? I shook my head, then nodded. Sure. Although Alicia and Willow are twins, after a while you realize they're easy to tell apart. Willow is the lofty, cool, hard to approach type. Alicia's eyes take after Mrs. Liu's, crescent-shaped when she smiles, bright and lovely, her nature gentle yet lively. I said firmly, yes, I'll go, but not because they went, rather because I've wanted to for ages. I know, Alicia said, linking her arm through mine as we walked to the mirror. In the full-length glass we looked like a perfectly matched couple. A shop assistant standing nearby chimed in at just the right moment. Miss, sir, you're the very picture of a talented gentleman and beautiful lady. Alicia lifted her eyes to me. How about this set? Does it look good? I thought for a second, frowning a little. Honestly, it still isn't stunning enough. For you it's missing that final spark. Alicia couldn't help laughing. Beneath the crystal chandelier her eyes were filled with star-like glitter. Another clerk asked, Sir, miss, are any of these gowns and suits to your liking? The store manager stepped forward, saw the hesitation in our eyes and said carefully, here's the situation. In a few days several gowns will arrive from overseas. Would the two of you be able to wait? I guarantee they're absolute showpieces. We have the designers' images here, and we can explain their concepts to you. She added, over here, would that be convenient? I looked at Alicia for her opinion. She nodded. I smiled. All right, we'll wait. Chapter 4. A few days later the new gowns arrived, and the manager phoned to tell us to come in and try them on. Alicia said something had come up and she wasn't at home, so I didn't need to pick her up, just wait for her at the boutique. I had only stepped out the door when Makoto came toward me, cheeks ruddy with good spirits, a shopping bag in his hand. Seeing I was on my way out, he asked offhandedly, George, heading somewhere? I ignored the question and asked what he wanted. He grinned and handed me the bag. Brought you some local treats. You know, George, Sea City is exactly like that video you sent me. The sea stretches on forever. It's perfect for taking girlfriend shoots. Every frame comes out great. Oh, why didn't you answer my messages? His tone wasn't smug or showy, just casually sharing his trip with Willow, like any guy recounting a holiday with his girlfriend to his best buddy. I looked at this person I'd known for years. We were standing so close, yet it felt as if I'd never known him at all. Suddenly his chatter broke off. When I took the bag, I slipped the ring box I was holding into my pocket. His expression turned a touch peculiar. George, when did you buy a ring? Returning it. If I'd told you sooner, you wouldn't have had to. Clearly Makoto had misunderstood, thinking it was the ring I'd planned to give Willow. But this ring was for Alicia, because our wedding was so rushed. We had skipped any formal engagement, but I still didn't want to cut corners, so I'd had this ring custom made. I said flatly, no. Makoto sighed. George, some things you really have to let. He opened his mouth again. I cut him short, smiling with only my lips. I'm getting married. What? He blurted, stunned. The moment the words left me, his face froze. Impossible, it's so fast. Have you really gotten over Willow? Realizing what he'd just said, his expression soured. He stared at me in confusion. Inside, I felt nothing, only regret at my poor judge of character. He was sure I couldn't forget Willow so quickly, yet he still chose to flaunt his sweet moments with her in front of me. He patted my shoulder, guilt written all over his face. Ah, there I go saying the wrong thing again. George, please don't get mad. When you get married, let us be your groomsmen. Yeah. He hesitated, then added, but you're really something, getting married without telling me. I haven't even met my future sister-in-law. Between the lines he was asking me to introduce my fiancée. There's a type of person in the world who covets anything that belongs to others, who enjoys the sense of superiority and triumph in snatching it away. I don't care whether Makoto truly likes Willow, but I do wonder if he ever spared a thought for the girl who, after he tossed off one comment about disliking a vase who couldn't even cook, worked hard to change herself and personally made him breakfast every single morning. Alicia. I smiled. Sure, he said. Really? Then let's go. Because of Makoto's delay, Alicia actually arrived at the bridal shop before me. The moment he saw Alicia appear in the store, the smile on Makoto's face vanished completely. He couldn't believe it. Twitching the corners of his mouth, he asked me, "What's Alicia doing here?" As his pupils dilated in shock, I slowly walked up and wrapped an arm around Alicia's shoulder. The message was loud and clear. Alicia looked up at me with a hint of helplessness, then very cooperatively turned to Makoto and said, "We're getting married on the 5th of next month. You're welcome to come." Makoto murmured, "No way." He shook his head in disbelief. Looking at Alicia's calm expression, he couldn't even form complete sentences. He stammered. You. He was probably trying to say, "Didn't you used to like me?" "Oh, really?" I looked at him coolly and asked, "Makoto, why would that be impossible? If he could end up with Willow overnight, why couldn't we?" Just then, the atmosphere dropped into silence. Makoto's phone rang. He snapped out of it like waking from a dream and fumbled for his phone. While he took the call, we had already sat down on the couch, and the clerk had started laying out a row of newly arrived wedding dresses in front of us. I picked a piece of fruit from the platter and popped it into my mouth. Pointing at Makoto's pale face, I said to Alicia, "Look, even he knows he crossed the line. There's no such thing as truly feeling what someone else feels." I rubbed my chin and asked, "Hey, you think maybe he still likes you?" Alicia glared at me and said, "Ha, not a chance." Looking at the 5 wedding gowns in front of us, I sighed and asked her, "See anything you like?" Only then did she lift her head and look. Her eyes immediately locked onto the one in the center, a gown covered in glittering crystals. Its design overflowing with romance and elegance. Under the lights, the diamonds sparkled like the brilliance of stars over a vast ocean. I saw her unable to take her eyes off the dress and waved my hand in front of her. "Go try it on." As expected, marriage might not be every girl's dream. But wedding dresses? That's different. While Alicia went inside to change, it was just me and a visibly uncomfortable Makoto outside. After a while, he finally couldn't hold it in and asked, "George, how did I never see you were this kind of person? You think this is funny? A grown man pulling this kind of stunt to get revenge, tricking Alicia into marriage just to get Willow to come back to you?" I gave him a sideways glance, then lowered my head to continue flipping through the magazine. I replied, "What kind of person am I? A hypocrite who plays dirty behind people's backs? Now that would actually be pretty funny. Besides, why do you always assume every guy's goal is to steal your girlfriend? Is it so hard to believe I actually like Alicia? This habit of yours, imagining everyone's out to cuckold you, you should get that looked at." I was ready to keep roasting him, but the next second, Alicia flung the curtain open, and just like that, all the words in my mouth fell silent. I stood there, utterly stunned, and not just me. Even Makoto and Willow, who had hurried in from outside, were wide-eyed in amazement. I felt a surge of satisfaction. If a dress can leave people speechless, the money was well spent. While I walked over to admire her, Alicia whispered to me, "Tell me, why did those two suddenly show up?" Then, still preening, she added, Take a few shots. Take a few shots. We look so gorgeous in this mirror." I had just raised my phone when Willow, having snapped out of it, suddenly spoke. "You're getting married? How come I didn't know?" The frown on her brow eased at once. Her tone turned coaxing. "Alicia, how can you be so thoughtless? Marriage isn't something you spring on mom and dad without a word. If this gets out, what will people say? Be good, stop throwing a childish tantrum." Makoto, whose face had been sour, seemed to think she had a point. His expression lightened. If Willow, Alicia's own sister, knew nothing about the wedding, it had to be our little play act, right? Makoto said, "Alicia, there's no need for this charade. You've never been this willful, and you've been getting colder toward me. Even if we can't be lovers, can't we still be friends?" Alicia rolled her eyes. "That's rich. Am I supposed to stay warm and fuzzy toward my sister's boyfriend? Still be friends?" Do you think everyone is as boundaryless as you are? I'm about to get married, please keep your distance. She paused, then went on. Since you don't believe us, sis, call mom and dad and ask. Alicia stopped arguing and simply held Willow's gaze. Seeing we were perfectly calm, Willow, lips bloodless, turned to me. Is this true? It is, I said, still unconvinced. She dialed her parents right in front of us. The result, yes, we are getting married. Under the dazzling lights the four of us stood on opposite sides, and no one said a word. Willow stared at me, dazed, standing beside Alicia. I met her gaze, and suddenly couldn't understand it. She doesn't like me. So why did her eyes redden the moment she heard I'm getting married? I felt Alicia's fingers tighten, almost reflexively, on my sleeve. I patted her back to reassure her. I asked, could you two leave now? They looked stiffly at each other. Makoto forced a thin smile. George, didn't you say I could be your best man? In our green youth, Makoto's smile had always carried a hint of shyness. Now it's the easy grin of a sunny adult. Back then, with my arm slung over his shoulder and his eyes brimming with sincerity, he'd said, George, when you get married I'm going to be your best man. We agreed, brothers for life. I'd laughed and answered, of course, and I'll be godfather to your future kid. Now, are you still that Makoto who swore we'd be brothers for life? You're not. Perhaps it was the memories, or the sudden realization that adults who claim to stay good friends often drift into strangers. But a sour, empty ache spread through my chest. Softly, I said, that won't be necessary. For a moment it felt like saying goodbye to a friend who now exists only in memory. Makoto's face went white. He stumbled back a step. George. I no longer cared how much sincerity lay in the way he repeated my name. It simply didn't matter anymore. Chapter 5. With the wedding drawing ever closer, we walked out after picking the venue. I held Alicia's hand to warm her as we tilted our heads to the sky. It had started snowing again. Flakes landed on us, turning our black hair white. Smiling, I lowered my head and asked, doesn't this feel like we're literally growing old together? Hair turning white side by side. She nodded. Very much so. She nudged me. It's so poetic, let's take a picture to capture it. Okay. Later, while packing my things, I found an old group photo in a corner. It was the four of us at the school sports meet. I sat on the sofa and wiped the dust off with a tissue. Only then did I notice the split second when Willow's and Makoto's eyes met. I remembered Makoto saying he wanted me to bite the metal for the shot. Who knew the shutter would click before I could? Because both sets of parents were helping, nearly everything for the wedding was sorted. The next time I saw Makoto was at a restaurant I own. He wore a brown trench coat, unshaven, haggard, slumped in a chair. Seeing me walk by, he made no move to leave. He called out, George, I regret it. His eyes were slightly red as he looked at me. I said nothing. Gritting his teeth, he went on, George, Alicia doesn't love you. Your marriage is doomed to fail. So what? I curled my lip in mockery. Hand her back to you. Aren't you with Willow? Alicia hasn't mentioned they broke up. Stumped by my 3 rapid-fire questions, his gaze skittered away. Yet he kept on, stubborn. If you got sick, would Alicia stay at the hospital night after night watching over you? If she played a game like a total noob and you flamed her until she cried, would she still beg you to carry her? Would she change herself just because of one comment from you and learn to please you? Would she get up at 5 every morning just to cook you breakfast with her own hands? Has she ever even said she likes you? I'm telling you this as your brother. George, it's for your own good. You don't need to fall out with me over a girl like her. I laughed softly. Such touching brotherly concern, and every line really means you want to have it both ways. Trying to two-time, are we? Absolutely not. Makoto denied it at once. Still calm, I said, sorry, but first, Alicia is perfectly fine the way she is. She doesn't need to bend over backwards for me. Change in a relationship goes both ways. Not one-sided sacrifice. Second, everything you just listed will happen with us, except I'm never going to flame her over a game. And Makoto, the fact you can reel off everything she's done for you proves you know how good she was to you. Yet you chose Willow. Stop the fake sympathy. You don't like Willow. You only chased her because I was chasing her. What you love is that little rush of superiority. The thrill of winning. I added, you know what? I dug out an old photo of the four of us. Enunciating each word, I told him, I must have been blind to call you brother. Don't ever come looking for me again. The place was quiet at that hour. After I'd taken a few steps, Makoto burst into a near-manic laugh behind me. Ha ha ha. George, just admit it, you're a loser. Alicia likes me, and even Willow, the one you're so crazy about, likes me. You get nothing. Doesn't that make you a loser? Just then a waitress came by with 2 bottles of beer. I grabbed them and hurled them straight at him. He let out a piercing scream. Still feel like barking? I asked, wiping my hands with a napkin. I gave the waitress an apologetic smile. Sorry about that. No worries. Boss, he had it coming, she said, then hurried off. George, You actually hit me. Makoto was a mess now, face twisted with rage. Keep yapping and the kitchen's hot pot broth base will be next, I said with a grin, then turned and walked inside. Over lunch I told Alicia what had happened that morning. Scowling, she snapped, "Tell me they're not crazy, seriously crazy." At the office Makoto has nothing better to do than lurk downstairs, pretending to run into me. At home my sister's forever sulking and asking why we're getting married if we don't even like each other. I'd had a surprisingly quiet few days, never realized she'd been dealing with all that. I asked, "Why didn't you tell me?" She pouted. Then, with a wounded look, said, "You come home from all the wedding prep and collapse straight into bed. I didn't want to bother you with those two weirdos." Sure enough, some people just love eating from someone else's pot and picking wildflowers. Anything pure and clean doesn't interest them. Watching her fuming like that, I asked, "So you really feel nothing for Makoto anymore?" 5 whole years, you know. Suddenly her expression flipped, eyes narrowed in warning. "George, I'm telling you, if you dare leave me alone at the wedding, you are dead." Whoa, calm down, I said. "I'm only asking. 5 years never even earned me a proper glance. How could I expect her to fall for me in a single month?" She snorted. "Then why bother asking? Isn't that obvious?" Mouth twisting, she muttered, "What's going on in that head of yours? Maybe it's like, when you talk to God, that's called faith. When God talks to you." She trailed off with that out of the blue line, leaving me blank for a beat. With a laugh she finished, "It means your brain's busted, right?" "What meme is that now?" I asked. "Game tonight, duo Q. You play marksman." "Oh, ho. I gave her a sidelong look. Chapter 6. That night I'd been out with some old friends until after midnight. A few drinks had left me more than a little tipsy. I was sprawled on the sofa when, in a dream, someone kept pounding my doorbell, like the Grim Reaper on a deadline. All at once my mind surfaced and I opened my eyes. The bell outside was still ringing. Not a dream. I got up, unsteady, leaned against the wall and wobbled to the door. The moment I opened it I found Willow, bad luck wrapped in human skin. Dad always said a wedding is a joyful affair, and joy mustn't be polluted by ill omens. Frowning, I started to close the door, but Willow clung to the frame and wouldn't let go. Red-eyed, she asked, "George, are you serious? Are you really going to marry Alicia? Have you thought this through? She loves Makoto, you two will never work." She sobbed. "George, don't be impulsive. Don't marry someone you don't even like just to get back at me." I narrowed my eyes, forced down the nausea in my throat, and articulated every word. "I'm deadly serious. I like Alicia, and I'm going to marry Alicia. Is that clear enough? Alicia is wonderful. Whenever the 4 of us went out, it felt like I was the one killing your vibe. You were forever nitpicking. Either my photos weren't good enough, or the place I chose was wrong, or you'd sulk and make me guess why. Alicia likes the pictures I take, likes the restaurants I pick, never throws a fit at me." Willow blurted. Urgent. I can do that too. I had no idea what was running through her mind when she said it. She pressed on. "George, I regret it. I didn't understand my own heart before. When I heard you were marrying Alicia it hurt so much right here. I got scared. I never imagined a future without you. Ugh." I couldn't hold it any longer and vomited, splattering her from head to toe. "Disgusting. Ugh." I gagged. Her words stopped dead. Her face couldn't have looked any worse. "Whoa. Sis, sorry about that." Alicia had appeared without my noticing, the curve of her lips tinged with unmistakable glee at Willow's plight. She went on, lightly scolding. "Showing up at your future brother-in-law's place in the middle of the night. If people get the wrong idea you'll drag us all down, won't you?" Willow's eyes flew wide, but whatever she meant to say was cut off when Alicia swung the door shut. In the bathroom Alicia dabbed a towel across my mouth and the front of my shirt, her gaze liquid with tenderness. I let out a sigh and asked in a low voice, "When did you get here? How long were you watching? How much did you hear?" She gave a tiny smile. "I showed up the moment you opened the door." "Oh," I muttered, at a loss. Under the bright bathroom light she suddenly asked, "Just now, what photo were you talking about?" My head was still fuzzy. "What?" Softly she clarified, "The part about taking pictures." "Oh, that happened plenty of times, didn't it? Every time we went out I picked the spots. Those two were always unhappy." I drew up the itinerary, booked the tickets. Over dinner they'd gripe that I'd chosen a dud. During photos they'd nitpick nonstop. At the sites they'd moan they were tired, saying I'd picked some crappy place. If they were that exhausted they could have stayed home, lazed in bed or sipped coffee in a cafe. I'd have been perfectly fine with that. Why drag themselves out only to complain? Alicia leaned into my arms, eyes warm. "I get it," she whispered. "I really do." I let out a long sigh. Honestly, there were so many times I wanted to stop chasing Willow, but every time I remembered that middle school speech contest, how she was the only one cheering me on, I'd think. Hold on a little longer, just a little longer. Alicia nuzzled me without a word. I went on. And another reason is that, back then, I'm the one who said we should chase the twins together. Seeing you still going all out after Makoto, I didn't want to rain on your parade. At that she gave a half-angry laugh, snorting. First time I've heard that pursuing someone is about keeping up brotherly loyalty. Drunkard, talking nonsense, she added, then stood to fetch me some clothes. With a playful wink she asked, think you can shower on your own? I bobbed my head vigorously. I can. And almost pitched headfirst into the tub, my balance shot. Alicia grabbed me in alarm. Hey, watch where you're crashing. Then, biting her lip, she muttered under her breath, whatever, going to see it all sooner or later anyway. A heartbeat later she barked, hands. Keep those hands to yourself, you perv. I'm not a perv, I'm your future husband. I protested. She quirked a brow. And whose husband again? George, I answered. And whose wife? Alicia, I said. Chapter 7. On our wedding day Alicia and I were both terrified the other might bolt. So we made each other stay on video call right up until the ceremony began. Once it started, Mr. Liu took Alicia's hand and led her, step by step, toward me. He placed her hand into mine. Her slender fingers were warm and soft, and as I looked at the smiling woman in front of me I thought, Willow and Makoto were right about one thing. At first Alicia and I got together simply to make a pair, to keep all those years of one-sided devotion from looking quite so pathetic. But later, we truly did want to walk to the end together. Our minds clicked. The give and take ran both ways. If we went hiking, no one complained about whose idea it was. We enjoyed the scenery, snapped photos, and climbed all the way to the summit together. In the end Willow and Makoto never made it. Both of them cheated. No one knows which happened first, Willow traveling with her older upperclassmen and booking the same hotel room, or Makoto pairing off with an intern from the office. Their affair partners kept changing, one after another. Eventually each of them got hard proof of the other's cheating. The breakup was ugly, so loud it even hit the local news. My former future in-laws were so furious and humiliated they could hardly show their faces in public. One evening, after all this had blown up, I came home to find a hot meal Alicia had cooked. I watched her busy silhouette in the kitchen, and couldn't help walking over and wrapping my arms around her from behind. She smiled and asked, "What's this all about?" I slipped my arms around her waist and muttered, "I've only just realized, to love someone you need loyalty, to keep on loving, patience, and in the end, conscience." Who knew living those words could be so hard? "George, did you cheat on me?" she gasped, spinning round with the kitchen knife still in her hand. I gaped at her. "Are you crazy?" "Scared me to death," she said, pretending to let out a relieved sigh. I asked, "Thinking about it now, if we'd ended up with them, do you think they'd have cheated on us too?" Alicia snorted. "Change maybe to definitely." She didn't even want to talk about her sister. "She's driven mom and dad up the wall, Lou Corp's stock is about to hit limit down, and dad's threatening to cut her off. Good thing we struck out on our own," she added, "or we'd be furious too. People who treat love lightly won't change just because the partner is different." I watched Alicia cooking my favorite soy sauce chicken and swallowed. Last year, when we went to Sea City, a coastal town famed for seafood, I fell hopelessly in love with white-cut chicken, scallion oil chicken, soy sauce chicken, salt-baked chicken, hand-shredded chicken. Of them all, soy sauce chicken is my true love. The rich savory sauce soaks every fiber, the meat silky tender, one bite and you never forget. "Thanks, wife," I said, and kissed her cheek. She shivered, then tapped her lips. "They say they want one too." With a grand sweep of my hand I declared, "Then kisses all round."